My fiancé lives a double life in another city, and my future mother-in-law knew everything. I don't even know who I'm writing this for. For myself? For closure? For a bunch of strangers who'll tell me I'm not crazy for thinking the person I've shared my life with for 3 years might actually be a sociopath? Whatever. Here it is. I got engaged to Sarah last December after 2.5 years of dating. Was the love of my life, beautiful in that wild, unpredictable way. She'd wear old band tees and bright red lipstick like she was about to steal a car. Worked in marketing, freelanced a lot, and was always on the move. I thought that was part of what made her exciting. We met during lockdown at an online trivia night hosted by mutual friends. It was the most 2020 thing ever. We hit it off over obscure Harry Potter questions and a shared hatred for pineapple on pizza. Our first real date involved drive-through tacos and a parking lot. Romantic? No. Real? Very. She moved in after 6 months. Things just clicked. We split rent, started adopting little routines, Friday sushi, Sunday hikes, dumb inside jokes. I have a whole notes app filled with things she said half asleep. But a few months ago, cracks started forming. Sarah started traveling more. She'd always had client visits in Denver, but they became more frequent, sometimes weekly. She started packing nicer clothes. Business casual turned into borderline wedding guest outfits. When I teased her about fancy meetings, she just laughed and kissed me, saying, "Fake it till you make it, babe." At first, I chalked it up to her growing career. But then there were the texts, the hidden phone screen, the sudden deletion of her browser history. One night while we were watching a movie, she got a message. I glanced at her phone. "Tyler, miss you already? Counting days, angel." I asked who Tyler was. She rolled her eyes. "God, you're paranoid. He's a client." "Gay, actually." She tossed her phone down like I was ridiculous for even asking. I laughed it off, but something inside me twisted. It was the way she said it, not dismissive but calculated, like she'd practiced the line. Then came the iPad. She left it on the kitchen table when she rushed out for a flight. Notifications were popping like popcorn. Email chains, calendar invites, and texts from Tyler. One caught my eye. "Flight booked. Can't wait to finally introduce you to my parents. Love you always." Wait, his parents? My stomach dropped. I opened the Photos app. There were selfies, candids, couple photos, her and Tyler, holding hands on a balcony, lying in bed, matching pajamas at Christmas. She was wearing the same necklace I gave her last Valentine's. My brain short-circuited. For a second, I genuinely thought I was losing it. Like maybe this was an elaborate ad campaign for some startup she was working on. So I waited. Waited until she got home 2 days later and acted like nothing was wrong. We had dinner. She told me about the worst hotel breakfast she'd ever had. I nodded, smiled, waited. Then while she was in the shower, I checked her suitcase. That's when I found it. A small velvet ring box. Not mine, not her ring. A man's engagement band. And then a printed wedding program. Sarah Evans and Tyler Monroe. June 21st, 2025. Fort Collins, Colorado. Different last name, different city, different life. She wasn't in Denver. She was getting married to someone else. I felt like I couldn't breathe, like the walls of our apartment were closing in on me, whispering, "You're a fucking idiot," over and over. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I just sat there, pretending to sleep while she curled up next to me like she hadn't just stabbed me in the chest and twisted the knife. The next morning, I called her mom. Beverly and I had always gotten along well, maybe too well. I figured if anyone would tell me I was overreacting, it'd be her. But when I asked, "Do you know who Tyler Monroe is?" she went silent. Long pause. No gasp, no denial, just a sigh. "I was hoping you'd never find out this way." I hung up. I haven't spoken to either of them since. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't know who Sarah is. I don't know how long this has been going on. I don't know what kind of twisted game I've been part of. But I'm about to find out. I confronted my fiancée about her second life. She didn't even flinch. I didn't plan how to confront her. I had this fantasy in my head where I'd throw the ring box on the table, demand answers, and she'd break down crying, confess everything. and maybe, just maybe, I'd understand why she did it. Reality? Way less cinematic. She came home from Denver on a Tuesday night, all smiles, carrying that same damn suitcase with the velvet box I'd already seen. I watched her, closely, every gesture, every word. "Hey babe, you wouldn't believe the turbulence. I thought the plane was gonna snap in half." Smile. Shoes off. Jacket on the hook. She didn't even look at me, like nothing was wrong, like our lives weren't built on a house of lies. I waited until she poured herself a glass of wine. Then I said, "So, how's Tyler?" She froze mid-sip. The glass didn't drop, she didn't gasp, no dramatic stammering, just this twitch, a tiny flicker in her left eye, barely visible unless you were watching for it. I was. "What?" she said, laughing. "Tyler who?" I pulled the ring box from my hoodie pocket and dropped it on the table. Silence. She looked at it, then at me, then back at it, and then finally, "Where did you get that?" No denial, no shock, just annoyance, like I'd opened her mail without asking. "The suitcase you keep forgetting I pay half the rent for," I snapped. She sighed and sat down, like we were about to discuss paint swatches, not her secret second fiancé. "It's not what you think." I almost laughed. Classic. Hall of Fame level gaslighting opener. "Really? Because what I think is that my fiancé is also engaged to another man in another state under a different fucking last name." She rubbed her temples. "Tyler, it's complicated. He thinks he's marrying you in June because he is." That stopped me cold. Not "I was going to tell you." Not "it's over." Just a calm, flat "because he is." I stared at her. I must have looked completely blank because inside my head I was screaming. "So what was this then?" I gestured around. "What the hell have the last 3 years been?" "Comfortable," she said, so casually I thought I misheard. "You've been safe, easy. You don't ask a lot of questions." That one cut deep. I didn't even realize how much I'd been playing the cool, understanding boyfriend until that moment. I'd made excuses for every weird trip, every deleted text, every red flag, just to keep the fantasy alive. She kept talking. "Tyler, he's intense. He's old money. His family's traditional. They expect the perfect image. You're not exactly presentation material." I laughed, loudly. I think I scared the neighbors. "So I'm the decoy, the crash pad, the emotional support dog you kept around until your rich fantasy wedding came together?" She didn't answer, just stared at the wine glass like she was calculating how many sips it would take to get through this. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. "Since before we met." That was the final blow. Wait, you were already engaged when you moved in with me?" "It was a break. Tyler and I were on a break. Then it just overlapped. Like our entire relationship was a scheduling conflict." I felt sick. I actually went to the sink and vomited. Not metaphorically. Full-on, stomach-emptying, rage and shock-induced purge. When I came back, she was still sitting at the table, scrolling on her phone like nothing happened. "You're disgusting," I said. "You're overreacting," she replied. That's when I knew she wasn't even sorry. There wasn't going to be a heartfelt apology or some tragic backstory that made it all make sense. She just didn't care. I was convenient, replaceable. I packed a bag that night and went to crash on my friend Josh's couch. I didn't say goodbye, didn't slam the door, just left. Quietly. The next morning, I woke up to a text from her mom. "Let's talk. There's more you need to know." Her mom told me everything, and now I wish I didn't know. You ever get that feeling when someone says we need to talk and your whole body tenses like you're about to get hit by a truck? That was me reading Beverly's text. There's more you need to know. So I met up with her. Neutral ground, a coffee shop near her place in Boulder. I wore a hoodie and sunglasses like some sad post-breakup cliche. Beverly was already seated with a half-finished cappuccino and that nervous "I'm about to ruin your life" face. "Before you say anything," I started, "just tell me one thing. Did you know Sarah was engaged to Tyler this whole time?" She didn't even blink. "Yes." I wish I could say I was surprised, but honestly, I just felt cold, like my insides were wrapped in foil. Then why the hell didn't you say anything? Because it wasn't your place to know, and frankly, I didn't think it would last this long. I laughed loudly. People turned. I didn't care. You thought what wouldn't last, my relationship with your daughter, our engagement? She looked tired, old suddenly. You were a detour, Nate. There it was, that word again. Detour, like my entire existence had been a pit stop between her daughter's real life. Then came the real bomb. Sarah and Tyler have been arranged since college. His family's connected, political. They need someone with her image. She wasn't supposed to fall for you, but she did, a little, just not enough to walk away from all that. An arranged engagement in fucking America in 2025. And yeah, I know, arranged doesn't mean forced, but it sure as hell doesn't mean honest either. So what? I was just emotional furniture, something soft she could lean on between charity galas and fake smiles? Beverly winced. You're angry. You have a right to be. But please, don't ruin her future. Tyler doesn't know. His family doesn't know. If this goes public... Stop. You seriously think I'm going to keep quiet so your daughter can marry rich while I rot in therapy? She leaned in, lowering her voice. There's more at stake than you realize. Like, what? Did she ever mention the investment account in both your names? That froze me. What investment account? Exactly. Turns out, when we moved in together, Sarah opened a joint high-yield savings account for future plans. She deposited a decent amount, I matched it. But apparently, sometime last year, she converted part of it into a brokerage account under both our names, and recently pulled out $18,000 without telling me. It's already been spent, Beverly said quietly. On her wedding in Fort Collins, I nearly blacked out. So not only was I cheated on, lied to, and gaslit, I may also be financially liable for part of her damn other wedding? When I left the cafe, I didn't say goodbye. I couldn't feel my hands. My thoughts were static. I texted Josh, my best friend and current couch landlord, told him everything. His reply? Shit, man. Are you sure you're not exaggerating? I mean, maybe there's more to it. That one hurt more than I thought it would. Even he was starting to question me. Or maybe I was starting to sound crazy. I went for a long drive that night. No music, just silence and the engine. I stopped at some overlook and stared at the lights of the city below like they were blinking in Morse code. You got played. Hard. For the first time in my life, I wanted to disappear. Not in a dark way, just vanish from this version of reality. Press some cosmic reset button. Instead, I went home and started digging. I opened our shared Google Drive. Password hadn't changed. Inside, wedding budgets, a guest list, travel receipts, a Word doc called How to Transition Smoothly. Yeah, she literally had a step-by-step plan for how to end things with me after the wedding with Tyler. It included a draft email that began with, I'll always be grateful for the stability you gave me when I needed it most. Like I was a damn emotional air mattress. I thought I'd hit bottom. Then I found her other ex. Okay, so I did the thing you're not supposed to do when you're grieving. I started snooping. And no, I don't feel guilty. Not anymore. I wanted to know who the hell I was engaged to. I mean, if she could lead a double life for 3 years, what else was she hiding? Turns out, a lot. I started with our Google Drive, the one we use for joint planning. I'd already seen the transition document, but there was something else I hadn't noticed before. A shared folder labeled Freelance, Archive. Inside were subfolders, client work, invoices, travel receipts, all boring until I got to a zip file labeled Old SF Do Not Open. Naturally, I opened it, and just like that, the universe handed me a plot twist. There were photos, dozens. Her in San Francisco, arm in arm with a guy I'd never seen before. Same smile, same necklace, same hotel chain she used with me. Curious, I reverse image searched one of the photos, found the guy's Instagram, private, but his LinkedIn, public. Luke Reynolds, tech consultant, engaged to Sarah Evans 2019 to 2021. My heart skipped. Engaged. Again, before me, Before Tyler, 3 for 3. Now it was a pattern. I messaged him, kept it simple. Hi, you don't know me, but I was recently engaged to Sarah Evans. I found old photos of you two. I just want to ask a few questions. No drama. Didn't expect a reply. Got one within 20 minutes. Holy shit, you two? We talked on the phone that night for almost 2 hours. Turns out, Sarah lived with him in San Francisco. 2 years. Claimed she was freelancing remotely. Told his family she was an orphan. When they got engaged, she disappeared 3 weeks later. Just vanished. Left a note saying she needed to find herself. He never saw her again. No closure. Until my message. She ghosted him like a Tinder date. After a 2-year relationship and an engagement. He was still processing. Still in therapy. And now I was right there with him. When I hung up, I felt physically sick again. Like her entire personality had been a costume. And each man got a different version of the character. Me, the stable one. Luke, the tech fiancé. Tyler, the status partner. And I started to wonder, who is she when no one's watching? The next day, I called my bank. I needed to know how deep this financial shit went. They confirmed what Beverly told me, the joint account was legally shared. And since Sarah withdrew the money without fraud or coercion, I was liable for the tax implications. I owe almost $4,200 in surprise capital gains taxes from an investment I didn't even know existed. She didn't just cheat on me, she financially handcuffed me. Later that night, I got a call from Josh, my friend, the one whose couch I've been crashing on. He sounded weird. Hey, Sarah showed up at my place today. Silence. What? Yeah. She said she wanted to explain, asked me not to tell you, said you were spinning lies and going through a mental health spiral. Oh, so now I'm the crazy one. Of course. What did you say? I told her to leave, but man, I don't know. She seemed calm, like really calm. That's what scared me. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't sorry. She was managing like she'd done this before, like she was playing a part again, like she was already setting the stage for the next act. The worst part, I started questioning myself. Not about her guilt, no, that's solid, but about my own worth. How did I miss this? How do you live with someone, love someone, sleep next to someone for years, and not know who the hell they are? And what does it say about me? That I still miss her. Tyler's cousin called me, and now lawyers are involved. So, I met with Tyler's cousin. Yeah, I know, that sounds like the start of a joke. 2 guys walk into a coffee shop, both engaged to the same woman. One of them doesn't know it yet, but it was real and weird and tense as hell. His name is Daniel Monroe. Early 30s, clean cut, Harvard ring on his finger, and a stare like he's permanently disappointed in you. He reached out via LinkedIn, of all places, said he had a private family matter to discuss, gave just enough context to convince me it wasn't a scam. We met at a downtown steakhouse. Fancy place. Too quiet. The kind of spot where secrets are spilled between sips of bourbon. He didn't waste time. You were engaged to Sarah Evans? Was, I corrected. Past tense. We need to talk. But first, how much do you know? I gave him the short version, 2.5 years together, proposal. Then I found out about Tyler. And Luke. And the money. He didn't flinch. Jesus Christ, he muttered. Then, after a long pause, you're the fourth. There was another one, maybe more. Look, he said, leaning in. Tyler doesn't know yet, but we will need to deal with this fast, discreetly. This can't become a scandal. Scandal? I asked. This isn't a political sex tape. It's a human being playing house with half the male population. Tyler's father is running for Senate, Daniel said flatly. You think tabloids care about your feelings? Fair point. Then came the part that made my stomach sink. We're considering issuing a cease and desist, excuse me, to you for contacting Sarah, for sharing details about Tyler, for digging, for talking to the press. I haven't talked to the press. Not yet. He slid a folded letter across the table. Unopened envelope. I didn't even want to touch it. This is unofficial for now. We're hoping to avoid escalation. But if you make this public, You'll be sued for defamation. Defamation? I laughed. You think I made this shit up? I don't. But truth doesn't always matter. Timing does, optics do. I wanted to flip the table. Instead, I took a breath and said, "You want me to stay silent so your cousin can walk down the aisle with a serial liar and pretend none of this happened?" "No," he said calmly. "I want you to walk away with dignity and without financial ruin." There it was, the threat. That night, I went back to Josh's apartment and sat in the dark. I couldn't sleep, couldn't think. I just kept hearing Daniel's voice in my head, smooth and icy. Optics matter. Screw optics. My life isn't a campaign strategy. The next morning, I got a call from an unknown number, ignored it. Voicemail popped up a minute later. It was Sarah. "Nate, please don't do this. You don't understand everything. You're not thinking clearly. Call me back. I'm begging you." Her voice was calm, sweet even, too sweet, like poison in a cup of tea. And then she added quietly, like she knew it would haunt me, "I'm pregnant. I told her to meet me." She showed up, but not alone. Let's get one thing straight. I don't believe her. Not entirely, not after everything. But when she said I'm pregnant, something cracked. Some leftover piece of who I used to be, the version of me that trusted her, that dreamed about a future, started whispering, "What if it's true?" So yeah, I called her back. Once, didn't say much, just told her to meet me. Neutral ground, a small cafe in Midtown where no one would recognize us. I made it clear, you want to talk? No games, no lies, just you. And the truth? She agreed. 4 p.m. Friday, I got there early, sat at the far end of the patio, facing the street, watched every person who passed by. At 3:57 she appeared, same coat I bought her last winter, hair pulled back, minimal makeup. She looked tired, not like someone playing a role, more like someone who'd been living too many lives at once and was starting to drown. She sat, smiled, said nothing at first. I spoke first. "Is it true?" "Yes." "How far along?" 8 weeks. I did the math. 8 weeks ago, we were still engaged, still planning a wedding, still us. "Is it mine?" Her face changed, just slightly, a flicker of something, doubt, guilt, before she answered. "I don't know." There it was, the one honest thing she'd said in months. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just sat there, let the silence stretch until it got unbearable. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, to me, to everyone. "What the hell are you running from?" She looked down, fiddling with her napkin. "I never meant to hurt you. You've been living a double life, with multiple men, and somehow you think a soft apology is going to fix it? You don't understand." "Then make me..." She opened her mouth to speak, and that's when it happened. Someone else walked up. Not a stranger. Tyler, in person. Tall, angry, dressed like he just came from a boardroom. He looked at me, then at her, then back at me. "So this is the other guy," he said. I stood. "Did you follow her?" "She told me where she'd be." My eyes snapped to Sarah. "You invited him here?" She didn't answer, just looked torn. "I deserve to know what the hell's going on too," Tyler snapped. "I've been engaged to this woman for a year. A year, man, and I find out from my cousin that there are others? Try 4, I said flatly. He laughed. One of those disbelieving, angry laughs. "Jesus Christ, Sarah." She was crying now. "I didn't plan any of this," she said. "It started as something small, something stupid, and then it just kept going. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted different lives. I wanted to be different people." We stood there, the three of us, in public, like some deranged love triangle pulled straight out of a Netflix special. And then Tyler said something that surprised me. "I'm getting a paternity test. And a lawyer..." He turned to walk away, then paused. "You should do the same." That night, I didn't sleep. Again. I kept replaying the cafe scene in my head. Her face, Tyler's fury. The moment she said, "I don't know," I opened my laptop and pulled up a blank document, started typing, not for revenge, not yet, but maybe for protection. I started compiling every date, every message, every screenshot, every receipt. If this turned into a legal war, I'd need everything. And then something unexpected happened. An email, No subject line, no text, just an attachment, a PDF from an anonymous address. I opened it. It was a scanned copy of a marriage certificate. Sarah Evans. And another name. Not me, not Tyler, not Luke. A fifth man. The marriage certificate had a date. It didn't match any of us. The certificate was real. I checked it again and again. Through public records, reverse phone lookups, even called the county clerk's office myself. No doubt about it. It wasn't doctored, not photoshopped. It was official. A legal document. Sarah Evans, married in Nevada 3 years ago, to a man named Nathaniel Rhodes. I stared at that name like it was some kind of cruel joke. Who the hell was Nathaniel? She never mentioned him. Not once. None of the lies she told me, the stories she spun, this was a whole new level. And the date? The goddamn date. It was before she met me, before Tyler, before Luke, before the whole tangled mess of deception. It was like the foundation of everything I thought I knew about her was a house of cards, just waiting to collapse. I sat back in my chair, running a hand over my face. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, the kind of pain that doesn't go away after a moment. It lingers, settles into your bones. This wasn't just cheating anymore. This wasn't just betrayal. This was bigamy, a federal crime, a felony. My mind raced. What if she had other secrets? Other lives I didn't know about? What else was hidden beneath the surface? I wanted answers, but I knew who I couldn't get them from. Sarah wouldn't talk. Not anymore. I did the only thing left. I called her. Of course she didn't answer. Instead, my phone buzzed with a message. "Don't call me, please, for your own good." I stared at the screen. Then I dialed her number again. No answer. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. No caller ID. I answered cautiously. "Sarah?" No response. Then a man's voice, low and cold. "If you're smart, you'll stop digging." Click. The line went dead. My blood ran cold. Whoever that was, they were serious. I looked at the PDF of the marriage certificate again. In the bottom corner, a faint notary stamp, a name and a date. The notary was based in Henderson, Nevada. That wasn't a coincidence. 2 hours later, I was on a flight to Nevada, alone. No one knew where I was going. Not Tyler, not Luke, not even Josh. This had become my mess. My fight. Landing late Saturday night, the desert air hit me hard as I stepped off the plane. It smelled dry and sharp, a stark contrast to the wet green forest back home. I rented a cheap car and drove to the address listed on the certificate, a nondescript stucco office building in a quiet part of Henderson, the kind of place you'd walk past without a second thought. Inside, a woman in her 50s sat behind bulletproof glass, her eyes sharp but tired. "I'm here about a notarization," I said, sliding the certificate across the counter. She examined it carefully, then looked up, clearly unsettled. "Where did you get this?" "An anonymous email." She hesitated. "You shouldn't have it. Is there something I need to know about Sarah?" Her lips pressed together. "Are you being followed?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. Her question hit me like a slap. Of course I was. Ever since the phone call, I felt eyes everywhere. Shadows in hotel corridors, strange cars on empty streets. "You should leave, now." She slid the certificate back to me. Her hands shook slightly. Back at the motel, the desert night stretched endlessly outside my window. I couldn't sleep. The silence was heavy, too heavy. At 3:12 a.m., my phone buzzed again. Another email, same anonymous sender, attached a police report, filed in Santa Fe, New Mexico, 4 years ago, name Sarah Evans, also known as Rebecca Quinn. Charges: fraud, identity theft, disappearance under investigation, victim: Nathaniel Rhodes, the same man on the marriage certificate. Missing, presumed dead. I sat frozen, staring at the screen. Her face flashed in my mind. Those countless lies, the smiles, the fake promises. The woman I thought I loved was a ghost. A chameleon. The weight of it all crushed me. She hadn't just lied to me, she had erased entire lives, reinvented herself multiple times, married and vanished. And now, after all this, she tells me she's pregnant. I don't know what scares me more, the possibility she's telling the truth or that it's just another cruel manipulation. And I don't know how much longer I can keep chasing shadows, but one thing is certain, I'm in deeper than I ever wanted to be, and there's no turning back. The truth hit harder than I ever imagined. When I first landed in Nevada, I thought I was chasing lies. Turns out I was chasing something far darker, something that could ruin lives or maybe end them. After the police report, the marriage certificate, and the threats, I didn't stop. I needed answers. I tracked down Emily, a woman who'd known Sarah before all the names and disappearances. We met in a quiet diner in Santa Fe. Emily was cautious, her eyes scanning the room like she expected someone to jump out from the shadows. But after a while, she began to talk. "Sarah wasn't always like this," Emily said, stirring her lukewarm coffee. "She was bright, full of laughter and dreams, but something broke her. Hard, real hard. She told me about Sarah's first marriage with Nathaniel, how he was controlling, how Sarah tried to escape but couldn't, how the police report barely scratched the surface of what really happened." "You think that's bad?" Emily shook her head slowly. "There were threats, violence, things the papers never printed. She had to disappear, or worse would have happened. She was running for her life." For the first time, a strange sympathy bloomed inside me. Not forgiveness, not understanding, just a heavy, aching sympathy for the woman who had spun so many lies around so many lives. Back in Henderson, I was on edge. My every move felt watched. I caught strangers in the shadows outside my motel window. My phone buzzed with strange messages, some cryptic, others outright threatening. My friends started to worry. Josh insisted I come home, leave this mess behind, but how could I? I had to know the truth. Tyler, he went silent. I suspect the family lawyers told him to keep his mouth shut. And Sarah? She vanished again. No calls, no texts, nothing. Then, finally, the paternity test results came back. I sat alone in a small clinic room, gripping the sterile white paper as if it might burn me. The news hit like a freight train. The baby was not mine, not Tyler's either. The lab called it a non-paternity. I couldn't believe it. I read the words over and over, but they didn't change. She had lied about that too. Everything. That night, I sat in the darkness of my motel room, the city lights outside flickering like distant stars. I felt hollow, shattered, like a puzzle with too many missing pieces. The woman I thought I loved wasn't just a liar or a manipulator, she was a survivor. Maybe she was running from more than just failed relationships or shattered promises. Maybe she was running from something so dark it scared even me. I realized then that this wasn't my battle to fight anymore. Not really. I was tangled in a story far bigger than me. And no matter how much I wanted closure, some truths weren't mine to uncover. I made a decision. I walked away, not because I was weak or broken, but because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go. I'm starting over. No wedding, no future together, no more pretending, just me. And the scars, deep, painful reminders of a woman who lived many lives but never truly lived one with me. The pain lingers though. Some nights, I wonder if I was just a character in her story, a convenient chapter she closed when it suited her. Other nights, I wonder if she's out there somewhere finally free. But most days I focus on what I have left, my own life, my own truth. Maybe someday I'll understand everything, or maybe some secrets are better left buried. What I do know is this: you can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved, and sometimes the greatest act of love is walking away. So here I am, broken, yes, wiser, maybe, and still hoping for a better tomorrow, for me, not for her. Some stories don't have neat endings, and maybe that's the point.